First of all, thanks also to our students, both Diamond and Mike, also for being here and having the courage to come forward and talk about their own personal situation. And as they do, just remember, there are millions and millions more just like them all over the United States. So here we're talking about a rule that would better protect students like these two from taking on significant debt that's nearly impossible to escape and too often gives them nothing in return. As I said, this impacts millions of Americans, especially the millennial generation. It's great to have you here giving voice to those who are enrolling every year in high-cost programs that fail to lead to good jobs. Almost 2 years ago, our committee completed a major investigation into companies that operate for-profit colleges, like the ones attended by Diamond and Mike. And if you would like, here's the report right here on that 2-year investigation. Now, a lot of the for-profit colleges and stuff started attacking it and everything. I challenged them. I said, find one thing in these 4 books, in this total report, find one thing that's wrong and let me know. I haven't had one taker yet. So everything that's in there is documented. Our staff did a tremendous job on exposing what's happening to these for-profit colleges. They came after the report and everything, but not one of them can find anything wrong or mistakes made in that report. Anyone who's looked at it will understand that we have a critical need to protect the students and taxpayers. Now, this is not a small amount of money. We're talking about $32 billion a year. Now, they say they're for-profit colleges. I always kind of have to smirk a little at that. For-profit, but it's like a funnel from the taxpayers to the pockets of hedge fund managers, Wall Street and the manipulators, others who are making millions of dollars a year off these schools. So it's for-profit in name only. It's mostly just a conduit for taxpayers' dollars to go into their pockets. And so what they do is they lure young people into these career type of programs, and then they don't give them anything. And the chart basically says it all right here. Nearly half of all of the student defaults are at for-profit colleges. And that's just in the first 3 years. What's that say right there? It says 1 in 10 go to a for-profit college, but almost half of them, they count for half of all of the student loan defaults in this country. And keep in mind, when we say student loan defaults, that means students who aren't paying on their loans. How does that hurt the school? It doesn't. They've already pocketed the money, folks. They've got the money. So our investigation documented an estimated default rate of 77% for students enrolled in a 2-year associate degree program at the University of Phoenix. 77% enrolled in a 2-year program. And I challenge University of Phoenix, if that's wrong, let me know. They have challenged. So the gainful employment rule proposed by the administration requires that all career education programs in any sector of higher education demonstrate they offer good value for students. The rule sets out a test to see if students completed a program, if they can afford to pay it back. However, I'm here to say, I think all of us are here to say, the proposed rule is insufficient. It needs to be strengthened, but it is an important start. Don't get me wrong. It's an important start. I hope to see a final rule that holds career programs accountable to students who leave with debt but no degree. The proposed rule basically covers people who have completed the program. How about those kids that drop out and don't complete the program? So they have debt, they have no degree, they have no real training for a job or a career. And I think you'll hear about that in a moment. Now, that's the experience of the majority of students. 63% of students left 2-year degree programs within a median of 4 months. They got debt, no degree. Well, the rule needs to address that too. And I hope the department will recognize that as bad as the default rate numbers are, there are companies that operate for-profit colleges that easily manipulate default rates. Now, again, you'll hear them talk about default rates, but we know from our investigation that companies know how to manipulate this by putting students in forbearance, for example, and they can manipulate. Here's a vice president for financial aid cited in our investigation. He explained it, and I quote, "So what do we have to do to keep someone out of default? On average, we only have to get students to pay or forbear their loans for 6 months. With the proper effort, it really isn't that hard to keep your default rate low." End quote. So I've just closed. First of all, I want to commend Secretary Duncan and the Department of Education for their work on this regulation. I know it's not easy. I very much appreciate his willingness to keep moving forward with these important protections and to strengthen the proposed rule. Again, it is time for a regulation that safeguards students and taxpayers from these programs that leave students saddled with exorbitant debt with very poor job prospects. So the federal government should not continue to send billions of taxpayers' dollars to these programs that fail to deliver. Today, we will be sending a letter to Secretary Duncan urging the department to address this problem and to strengthen this rule. But it's really the voices of the students and those that have been scammed by this kind of operation for a long time to raise their voices and demand action on this. And hopefully we'll get that done this year.